Hey guys, Brad here. Not super thrilled to be making this video, if I'm being honest, but we need to talk about some stuff, and not in the official podcast setting or anything, but just me to you, just yapping as I say. I kind of hoped it wouldn't come to this, but it did. In Virginia, I've been watching obviously the election results. The alternative cycle election happened today in huge swaths of the country. But one race that I followed with interest, and I've talked about on the channel before, is the Virginia Attorney General race, because Virginia is now a pretty solidly blue state, but it's not like California or Massachusetts. It's not so overwhelmingly Democratic that a Republican could never ever win. I mean, you just had, for example, a Republican governor, most recently, Glenn Youngkin. However, it is a blue-leaning state, and obviously Democrats typically have momentum after a Republican president wins or vice versa, especially with Trump. But they actually did it. They went there and they elected Jay Jones, the psychotic attorney general candidate who fantasized about children dying. Yes. So he was running for attorney general, and the decision has been confirmed. He is going to be the top law enforcement official in the state of Virginia, even after a scandal, which you've probably heard all about by now, but I'll just go over the basics, where text leaked where he talked about how if given the choice between Gilbert, who's a Republican opponent of his, Hitler and Pol Pot, and he only has 2 bullets, Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. He was also exposed to have wished for this Republican's children to, quote, die in their mother's arms. And he wasn't joking. And even after pushback, texting with a Republican colleague, actually, not even someone on his side of the aisle, he said, I've told you this before, only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. He agreed that these two, Todd and Jennifer, are breeding little fascists, and said it's when children die, it's the only way people will change their views on politics. So he quite explicitly fantasized about and wished death on the children of a Republican, not even his opponent, not even just like the Republican, I hope he dies or I wish him death. That would be wrong and immoral. But the children thing just takes us to like a level of depravity and sickness that astonishes me still. Even as bad as things have gotten in American politics, still astonishes me. And more than 50+%, enough to win the election, of voters in Virginia said, yeah, that's okay. We'll send the message to the country that that is fine, that you can fantasize about children dying and still be the top law enforcement official in a state. That feels significant to me. I thought that we weren't that far gone. I mean, I thought that people would be willing to say, listen, oh, I'm a Democrat. I support Democratic policies, but I can't vote for that guy. I'm going to have to just vote for the other guy, the Republican candidate, or just withhold your vote or throw it away, and then the Republican candidate still wins. But you can't actively vote for the guy who sent these messages. Just one of many scandals he's been involved in, by the way. But nope, guess it's fine. Enough of the Democratic establishment and mainstream stuck by him. He should have had to drop out, but they didn't make him drop out. They made a cynical, partisan calculation and said, this is fine. You look at the people. Abigail Spanberger, who just won, she's now the governor of Virginia. She campaigned for and voted for Jay Jones despite all of this. There's just no bar. I mean, there's just no standards at all. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you Republicans are somehow like way better and just paragons of virtue and integrity. That's obviously not true. Look who the president of the United States is right now. However, Democrats can't claim to be any better. That's for shit, sure. I just think it reminds me of other stuff I've seen Democrats rally around and behind in Michigan that's just indefensible. I want to go over this list. This list amused me. I looked up what groups endorsed Jay Jones and stood by him. Just read you a couple about this. Planned Parenthood, that's just lovely, don't you think? Sierra Club, AFL-CIO, and AFSCME, so massive labor unions, think it's fine to wish death on Republican children. The Sierra Club, the environmentalists, said, oh, yeah, that's okay, as long as he does what we want on environmental policy. What's a few Republican children fantasize about them dying. Okay, no biggie. The Giffords PAC, which I believe focuses on gun control, as well as the Prevent Gun Tragedies PAC, endorsed a candidate who fantasized about putting 2 bullets in the head of his political opponents. You cannot make this shit up, ladies and gentlemen. You couldn't invent a more extreme and absurd, hyperbolic example of how corrosive partisanship and just tribal loyalty has become than this. That these groups would line up behind somebody like this. They don't have to do this. Of course, the LGBT plus Democrats, the state of Virginia, stood by Jay Jones. That's their man. That's normal. That's stable. That's really putting a great look for the LGBTQ community, saying, yeah, we're fine with people who think Republicans' families should be killed. They're just breeding little fascists. I mean, where do we go from here? Is this just the standard now in American politics where there is no level of personal depravity or indignity or coldness or sickness that could get you disqualified in the minds of your partisans if you have the right letter next to your name? If you'll do the right thing when it comes to these partisan agenda issues, because that way, I mean, that's a short path to hell, people, a really short path. And you can't trust somebody who's just demonstrated such personal evil to decide matters of life and death. I mean, you're the top law enforcement official in an entire state, and they're just saying this is fine. I don't know. I'm extremely bothered by this. I was actually just recently in Northern Virginia visiting some dear friends of ours. And I was just walking around and seeing, the nice looking woman who's tending her garden and has hate has no home signs. And then Jay Jones for Attorney General. And I'm like, I really struggle to square that circle in my head. And then I asked my friend who lives there, and I said, because I tried to rationalize it like this. I tried to say, well, maybe they don't know about this scandal. Maybe it's so bad that like our media polarization and echo chambers are so bad that because they only watch MSNBC or what have you, and the few times it was mentioned on that network, they weren't tuned in. They literally aren't aware of what happened with Jay Jones. That's what I was trying to tell myself. And my friend told me, no, a lot of people put up the signs after the scandal. They put them up to say, like, no, we stand by him. That's bleak, folks. Like, things are getting really dangerous. We're heading into territory that I am really, really uncomfortable about and concerned. And at some point, somebody has to be the responsible adults in the room, because our politics is just headed off a cliff. Like it's like in the shows or movies when there's the roller coaster and then you can see the track ahead is broken and jutted off and they have to stop or get off. It's like it's coming. We can all see where things are going. I mean, is anyone going to be the adult in the room? Is anyone going to say that no, this is not okay? We have to. I don't care if the other side does it. We have to stand by basic standards for our own side. Is anyone going to do that? I've seen a few people do it in recent times, but I've seen a lot more people make excuses. I've seen a lot more people engage in whataboutism to defend their horrific actions by saying, but Trump, or vice versa. They're defending horrific, evil people like Nick Fuentes and say, but the left, but that. It's like, look at yourself in the mirror at some point. Just like have some decency, some standards, because at the end of the day, you can't control the whole world, but you can control yourself and what you co-sign and what you acquiesce to. And I don't care. I will not acquiesce to this level of depravity being normalized in our politics. Nope. Whether it's a Republican, whether it's a Democrat, libertarian, whether it's a political commentator who's on the left or the right, I will say no to this. I will say I'm not going to support it. I'm not going to make excuses for it. And I think you should too. That's what I'm going to keep trying to do here on this channel. But I wanted to get this off my chest while my thoughts and my reaction were raw and fresh, because we can't keep going like this. But today, this is a bleak development for our country. It really is. Maybe things will start to turn around. But as long as this kind of thing continues, the Democratic Party is not going to be able to convince me they are the sane and decent and respectable alternative to Trumpism. No, that dog does not hunt, at least when you're doing stuff like this. What do you guys think? Especially Virginians who were involved in this or know people who voted for him. I want to hear from y'all, so let me know in the comments. Do make sure subscribe, hit the like button, and do as well consider becoming a channel member to support my work and unlock members-only videos once a week. Just did one with my mom, asking questions that you guys had in mind for her. Go check that out, and regardless, guys, we'll talk again real soon. Hopefully about something less depressing and less bleak. But knowing everything and how it is, it probably won't be. All right, guys. Good night.